Now get ready. Here we go.
What is going on, everybody? It is Arkham here. It's fair to say that the 2024 season at Six Flags Great Adventure was a complete mess and a dud of a season. Even park goers around the world are aware as to the travesty that was the 2024 season. And I think this brought out the worst in everybody these past couple months, including myself. Not gonna lie. However, a lot of our anger is greatly justified, even knowing of the impending merger that had since gone through on July 1st of 2024. But in this video, I'm not here to rant on Six Flags management or the park itself. That's not what I intend to do. I want to be a resource and help to continue the growth of a theme park that I'm glad to call my home park, through all the thick and thin, all the troubles. Which is why this video is here to provide a more in-depth perspective on how I think Great Adventure can improve their park going into the 2025 season and beyond. After losing about half a dozen rides at the end of 2024, it's fair to say that the park needs to heavily focus on internal and massive quality of life changes. But what exactly do I think they should do? Well, I'm going to be dividing this video into 5 sections, and in each of these 5 sections, I'm going to discuss all the good, bad that I have observed or heard from other park visitors and put my thoughts together on how I think they can improve said area of the park. The 5 sections that I am including are park and ride operations, food and beverage, merchandise and games, atmosphere and entertainment, and finally, social media. By doing this, we'll get to deep dive in ways that each of these larger areas that truly create a super team of wonderful staff and other management can look to the future to pick up the broken pieces and put together a masterpiece once again. Now, by no means do I think that any of these things are going to happen in the span of one park season. That's physically impossible. But looking to the future is the best and only way to continue to make everyone that visits the park, whether that be guest, coaster enthusiast, or even staff, very happy to be in the park that they're in. Now, I will not discuss what rides will best fit in the park's lineup, as I already have a plethora of videos discussing that topic already, so be sure to check out all the videos on my channel in regards to where more or less we talk about the different rides of Great Adventure and rides I think that they could add. But throughout the video, make sure to leave a comment on what you think Great Adventure, or even the Six Flags Entertainment Corporation itself, should do to help improve their parks more. Now, as my home park is Great Adventure, I'm going to primarily be using them as an example throughout this video, as I will be able to provide the best descriptions and examples from them through my vast knowledge of the park. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first topic of discussion is park and ride operations, and I believe that this was easily one of the largest double-edged swords of a year it has been for ride ops and the park. As much as I don't want to start off on a negative note here, I feel like this is one of those really important factors that I need to address first. I think part of a lot of the issues ended up stemming from the park opening too early, which made all the rides basically that were meant to be open, not open yet. Rides such as Skull Mountain, Superman, Green Lantern, Kingda Ka, Medusa, and the Runaway Mine Train are just a small fraction of the rides that were not open on opening day, which honestly leaves a pretty poor taste in people's mouths and not a great first impression. I think the best course of action here would be to make sure that there are plenty of off-season maintenance personnel available to work or can be assigned to the park to get everything ready to go. There are certain parks that open before others, and Great Adventure is one of those seasonal parks that opens before a large number of others in the area. Hershey Park and Dorney Park, for example, respectively, are likely to open about a month later than Great Adventure based on past opening day trends. And that means many locals of those parks are more than likely going to end up flocking to Great Adventure because of the early start in the season. This early start would also result in the lack of trains on their bigger coasters. Every open roller coaster, when the season started, only had one operating train on the track for at least the first 3 to 4 months of the season. I mean, Nitro didn't go to 3 trains until Fright Fest. It didn't go to 2 trains until Decade Day, roughly. And Medusa didn't get a second train on the track until the end of Fright Fest, essentially. The only ride that seemed to open right away with 2 trains, oddly enough, was the Runaway Mine Train. And that was after one of the trains got repainted, might I add. Hopefully, nothing like that happens again in 2025, and I hope that Great Adventure has enough personnel this offseason so that they could open each coaster with multiple trains on their roller coasters. Speaking of roller coasters, let's talk a bit about a positive, the overall ride operations. As despite the one train op situation making it difficult for the ride ops already to do their job, they were all fantastic this season. Massive shoutouts to all the ride operators this season for pumping trains out consistently as much as they could. I could name a bunch of different crews that were working this season, but I don't want to leave anybody out. No matter how many trains were on the track, all the ride ops really continued to push to keep the lines moving as much as possible, and they really do deserve a ton of respect. Looking ahead to the 2025 season, for the opening of Flash Vertical Velocity being on the horizon, kind of had me thinking a little bit. Flash is one of the few roller coasters in the park that utilizes double-sided lockers alongside El Toro, but it's also one of the rides that you cannot have any loose articles on, right? Each of these rides that have no loose article policies have a security guard tied to them to ensure no one enters a ride with a phone or keys, for instance. I'm going to suggest something that I see implemented at some other Cedar Fair parks that I think could save the ride ops time from having to halt an operation because a guest boarded a train with a phone in their pocket. And I believe that they should add metal detectors to these rides. This is just going to save a ton of time for the ride ops so that they could just focus on getting the trains out as quickly as possible and nothing more. Ride ops are there to keep us safe on roller coasters, and the security is there to make sure everybody in general is safe and make sure nobody has their stuff in their pockets, of course. This quality of life change, at least for the ride operators, most likely will let them focus on their ride and essentially guarantee that everyone entering the station does not have a loose article on them. But as mentioned earlier, I believe the park and ride operators were both the best and worst parts, depending on who you ask that question to. And I think in the future, there will be ways to make things easier for everybody while also being reliable and understanding for everybody else. Once again, massive shout out to the ride operators this season for a fantastic operating schedule, even though it was very difficult for them this whole season just to keep everything going, and most of the time they were running with one train, especially those on roller coasters. Moving on to the next section, this is food and beverage. Most people go to the park and stay just about all day, including myself. They need to get something to eat and drink, right? So let's begin with the food side of the coin. As diversity-wise with the food, it has been much better in previous seasons. Unfortunately, this past season was not as good. Turning Chop 6 into a Six Flags Great Adventure special event space didn't really help with the food department. You just lost a big chunk of that diversity. You had great Chinese food there. Who knows what's going to happen after that now? It probably is going to stay that building forever. Outside that, they have Mama Flores. For me, which was probably my favorite spot to eat in the park, serving Italian food, had pasta, meatball subs, gyros, which were absolutely delicious, and a lot more other Italian food like pizza, so on and so forth. A really good spot. Macho Nacho had Mexican over by El Toro. Had stuff like nachos, had a rice bowl, empanadas, all really good stuff. And stuff like that. With those places, they had a very small margin that needs more sit-down food locations. I feel like there needs to be more sit-down food locations. If they were to put a restaurant over by where Kingda Ka once was in that older Golden Kingdom section of the park, could be so good over there. I would also think Chop 6 returning could be beneficial, just to add another sit-down restaurant food location. But areas that guests can eat that are under a roof and just enjoy their time rather than being under an umbrella out in the blazing sun, which is a large majority of our guests, by the way, I think would help out so much. The food in general, however, I think especially the basic pickings, chicken tenders, fries, they're okay. I know they could be better. I know I've had better of those foods, especially those that are the most commonly bought foods. I know they could do a lot better with them. Granny's, I feel like, had the holiday platter thing for Holiday in the Park, continue to sell that kind of food. And whereas Yum Yum can serve something a little bit different, maybe you could have specific desserts of some kind to kind of give into the candy charm theme of Dream Street a little bit, sort of entice the guests to go to these locations, branch out a little bit more. For example, Best of the West has a fantastic burger over by the Log Flume. It is the Best of the West burger. It has an onion ring in the burger with barbecue sauce. It is fantastic. Fat Burger has, the Fat Burger. And Yum Yum just has a standard burger, right? I could see with them being a little bit creative with it. Maybe have a different kind of burger patty to add a little bit of variety. I've always thought, like, what if they sold salmon burgers? I know it might be on the more expensive side, but it's something different to try. Food variety would give long-time and constant visitors a different perspective on the foods in the park, further wanting them to branch out their palates a little bit more, especially those, once again, that stay all day at the park. Also, drinks, I believe, are unfortunately very limiting. More options at each location would be really nice to have. The self-serve drink areas, I understand in the past, have been very problematic, and they run out very quickly, which is very true. And for some reason, you could easily see them when you're on Wonder Woman, which I think is hysterical, but that's besides the point. But ways that guests can get their drinks faster, in my opinion, could be the most beneficial. I look at the water, for example, because water, you literally need water to live, guys. Like, come on. I've always thought that having more water fountains that you could just fill up your water yourself could be really, really good. I'm thinking of like the water fountains like right next to El Toro, where for me, I use them all the time, and they're so good. Maybe like adding more of those water fountains at like other rides, so like I don't have to go from Nitro all the way to Granny's just to get a water refill and then go back on Nitro, right? Like adding those water fountains would be so good to have. Even right outside a ride entrance like El Toro does, or just put them in like sporadically spread them around the park, which would be so nice to have. And all you have to do, if a filter runs out, just replace it. An employee just replaces the filter. It takes like not even 5 minutes to do. It's super easy. I also do have to say that the appeal throughout the park for adults to like having like a mini bar. They have like that mini bar right next to the giant wheel and the Sky Screamer. Such as like promoting holiday alcohol drinks, like the naughty and nice beverages at the pub, kind of like branching out the drinks a little bit more. I've really appreciated, and just providing more of a sales. I think that there needs to be more of an incentive for people to try these drinks out, because there really hasn't been that much of that. Other than that, drink wise, food wise, pretty good. But let's get into the dining plan a little bit, because for people like me, I spend all day in the park, right? 9 times out of 10 over the summer, the park is open from 10:30 to 10 p.m. And you only get 2 meals. That's it. 2 meals over a span of 3 hours. That's not enough food, right? It's not enough food, especially for me that has a meal plan once again. A snack should be provided. 2 meals and a snack was perfect when that was a thing. And it was for a lot of other people that would spend the entire day. And I'm telling you, like, people spend so much money on that meal plan, and the fact that you don't incorporate a snack is kind of sad. It's basically like forcing somebody to show up to the park as often as they can just to make their money back from it. Trust me when I tell you that people that spend over $200 for a meal plan don't want to spend a single penny on a pretzel at the front of the park on top of the 2 meals that are already used up on the plan. They don't. Makes no sense to me why the snack option was removed. And it's a very easy click of a button just to re-add to the meal plan. Seriously, it is. I would highly consider reading snacks to the meal plan, re-adding them to the meal plan for the benefit of those with the meal plan. Trust me, you will bring a lot of people back, and they will stay in the park longer if you do that. Now, although the food and beverages itself can be improved from a diversity and execution standpoint, I do commend the attempts made this season to provide different types of food, even through seasonal options like the holiday platter. They definitely can be beneficial, and definitely can benefit by having more, and hopefully can continue to explore different reaches of this in the future. I look forward to seeing what they do with the food in the future seasons as well, so on and so forth. I know they got a lot more cooks hopefully for the season, so we get to see a lot of quality of life for food for 2025 and beyond, so I'm really curious to see what happens now. Next thing on the list is merchandise and games. First of all, I just want to give props to the merch team for putting up with us coaster enthusiasts, especially with Great Adventure and all the Kingda Ka merch. I really give you guys a ton of respect for having to just deal with us this whole back half of the season over asking about Kingda Ka merch. I mean, it's been quite something to say, at least. Which I have to say, this kind of gets into my first suggestion in regards to the merchandise and game section, and it really doesn't have too much to do with Kingda Ka. I feel like there should be like a retro and throwback section for merchandise. I mean, you guys literally had a retro shop in Metropolis this past season, right next to the Justice League. Why not just bring that back, but sell merchandise that has rides of Great Adventure history, right? So if you were to get more Kingdom Come merchandise, you could continue to sell that, right? What if you were to sell Chiller shirts, Great American Scream Machine shirts? I'm telling you, the coaster enthusiasts would absolutely go bananas for that. If something like that were to happen, they would flock to that store so fast. Like turbo jetpacks, they'd be riding just to get to that store. They wouldn't go to El Toro first, they'd go right to that store, I'm telling you. It could really be a great tie-in to pay homage to the park's history by doing that and just selling merchandise of old rides. I also think this would help with the idea that merchandise throughout the park, I felt like this season just felt disorganized. It just didn't make sense to be in specific stores. Like, why are we selling anime shirts in Main Street Market or in Six Flags Universe when I see other anime and One Piece shirts over in Attributes, right? Are we putting them in this store or are we putting them in that store? All the Looney Tunes stuff I've been seeing in Main Street Market. Why are they also in Adventure World, right? Things like that. I feel like if merchandise had their own designated location, it would give guests a reason to go to that spot where an item is sold. I know that can be a little bit of a mixed bag, but let me know what you guys think of that. Six Flags Universe, in my eyes, I feel like should be used to sell merchandise for park exclusive items. Ride shirts, sweaters, for all the roller coasters of Great Adventure should be sold in Six Flags Universe. They could even like reorganize it similar to Chocolate Town in Hershey Park, where every shelving unit was a specific large coaster, and all the merchandise was themed to that specific ride. This is where you'd find like a ride's nano coaster, a ride's sweater, a ride t-shirt. Maybe it's tie-dye, maybe it's one of those lighter ones that dry up really quickly if you go on a lot of water rides. Like those kind of shirts would be so good. It would also provide just a much better knowledge of what you have for a select ride versus what is needed and easy to fill. Like it's just easier to restock everything because it just makes the life of a merchandise worker in a park just so much easier to find everything. The only merch I felt made the most sense in the park, oddly enough, were the tiny shops away, like out of Dream Street and the Main Street, right? The two shops in the Golden Kingdom made sense. East Coasters made sense. The mini outpost made sense. The Fright Fest store in that same outpost area, perfect. I love that they had a whole Fright Fest store. They should keep that anytime they have it. The mini shop outside El Toro was also really good. Had like specific stuff from like El Toro or other stuff like that. Even had Medusa in there too, because Medusa was not that far away. Like they all made sense to their area, but the other stores I felt lacked a little bit of identity. It's like we sell these type of shirts and merchandise, right? And I love the idea of selling other kinds of party merch, like the anime merch. I love that idea. I love that kind of inclusion a little bit, especially like keep it to Attributes, right? You have an Attributes store that sells like all this third party stuff, and directly across the way you have Adventure World, which can sell more basic Six Flags merchandise. You know, it's like when you have those two stores selling the same exact things, it makes no sense. It's just like basically the Krusty Krab versus the Chum Bucket, where they want to try to sell the same stuff as each other. It just doesn't do anything. It doesn't really help anybody out. So just let me know what you guys think of that idea, if they were to kind of branch out the merchandise a little bit. Also, the season pass sales that you get from merchandise, giving guests and constant visitors less of an incentive to buy items. I feel like 15% off for the 2025 season is how much they are giving Prestige members or Prestige pass holders. That's not enough money, especially for how much money Prestige members or Prestige season pass holders paid just for that pass, whether it's on sale or not. I'm telling you right now, 15% off is not enough money to take off. Like 20%, 25% maybe a little bit out there of a reach, but 20% I would totally be up for that slight change. But that's more of an enticing offer for me than 15%. It feels like they just want to get more money out of you by going 15%. I'm afraid that for next season they're going to go to 10%. Not what I want, but like they should be increasing that a lot. If they're going to increase that, they have to bring up the percentage a lot. But I'd like to hear your thoughts about it. I know Diamond Elite members have like 50% off or something like that, but who knows how long those are going to last for, right? And I feel like that's also kind of segues well into the games portion because I'm going to be totally real with you guys. The Boardwalk Section 25.5 is going to be so dreadful and abandoned. It's not a prediction, that's just what is going to be the case. Most people are going to go to the Boardwalk for either Superman, Go-Kart, Swing Shot, or the Fright Fest mazes whenever they announce that. But the fact of the matter is, the games have to be the biggest reach, which for a lot of people is not the case. I feel bad for those in the games department because their job this season is so important to people going back there. It's crazy. So how do you pull people in to play these games? The easy thing to do, and what I would personally do, park exclusive items. Specifically win Great Adventure specific things, right? Games should be offering park exclusive items to win, such as pillows with pictures on their favorite coasters, blanket with all the ride logos, some kind of really cool bowl that has the El Toro logo on it. I don't know, something that is park exclusive. If the park sold these kind of prizes through their games, I am telling you that people would buy it more. They feel like they would be playing for something that is actually worth their time. This even goes for the coaster enthusiasts as well. I'm sure people would want to collect that. Whereas most of the prizes right now are stuffed toys, ironically, of their competitors. Like, they're literally, like, some of the prizes are literally, like, Super Mario stuff. I mean, the giant bananas are kind of cool, but, like, that's about it. Focus on prizes that promote the park, which could be a bigger aid to the games department. Could help other games departments at other Six Flags parks by just doing the same thing and selling ride-exclusive items in their games. Like, Six Flags New England could go out of their way and do the same thing for Wicked Cyclone or Superman the Ride. And Magic Mountain could do that for, like, Tatsu, right? All those other things as well they could easily do. I feel like just refreshing some of the game designs, a repaint here and there would always be super helpful. Fixing the lighting sequences just to make it a little bit more lively in there. Because outside of the games, you just have the Garden State Grill, Totally Kickin' Chicken. That's about it. Like, you're probably not going to be able to go that far outside of that. It's going to be very, very difficult to do all that this season. Honestly, I don't even think they're going to be touching the boardwalk at all in the off season, but bringing activity to the boardwalk that will already be barren in 2025 could be a worthwhile attempt to at least restore that area to the park to former glory, which will take at least a couple years to do so. We just got to be really patient to see what they end up doing with the games in the next couple of years. Second to last topic we're going to discuss is the atmosphere and live entertainment at Great Adventure. And I have to say that Decade Day definitely was a step up in that department. I will give them that props. Everyone, of course, will have their own opinion on how Decade Day went. I have my own. But bringing life to the park back via live entertainment, musicians, jugglers, recreation acts, whatever it might be, whatever you might say about the event, huge step up from last season. Now, I don't remember too much about last season, but I know there was a lot more live entertainment going on now than there was in previous seasons, at least within the past couple of years anyway. I just feel like there is more going on and there's more of something to watch this season. Something was always happening. Like, they had the parade during Decade Day, Flashbang Brass Band, Sawmill Duo, Tone Travelers, just to name a few, right? All great additions to the respective areas where they were in. And I would love to honestly see them come back. I think it would really, really cool to have Flashbang Brass Band just be playing right in front of Flash's entrance for when it opens. I think that'd be really fun. Fright Fest was so good with their entertainment, as they usually are. The Blade Drummers and the Freak Show, for instance, were fantastic. Holiday in the Park, Traditions, had a good amount of other shows as well. It had the band come back as like Nutcrackers, which were fun. The Giant Wheel had its light show. The Main Street Tree had 2 different shows this year. Again, it all made the atmosphere and the live entertainment just that much better, and a great step in the right direction. But with that being said, I will say that more shows are a plus, and I would highly encourage that as much as possible. What else can you use the Batman Sun Theater for outside of Dead Man's Party? What else can you use the Showcase Theater for outside of Unleashed? All I'm going to say is use them or remove them, right? The arena next to Medusa was moved because they don't intend to use it anymore. Like, it's probably going to get replaced with a roller coaster in the next couple of years for all I know. Using a theater once a year is just not good for a show's longevity, or even an arena's longevity for that matter. Find ways to have more in-park entertainment that uses these arenas all year round, or at least from the summer to the end of the season at most. Like, Holiday in the Park used to have a show in Showcase Theater, Why can't they bring that back, right? There's a lot of help needed there again. Use them or replace them with like a flat ride or something, like in all seriousness. Also on the other side of park, which was in the Golden Kingdom, they had like a stage show for animals. I had no idea that thing existed. I know it was there, but nobody knew when the show was. They weren't even promoting it. Like they got to promote these shows a little bit more, especially since like I felt like the live entertainment this past season was really underappreciated. Um, I also hope that the boardwalk does something, at least temporarily, just to bring people back there. Some kind of entertainment. Maybe they could put the Flashbang Brass Band there. Maybe they could put a smaller like band over there by Superman. At least something of the sort. Like a little bit atmosphere is going to be needed back there for sure. Speaking of which, I'm looking at park atmosphere and mostly how the park physically looked. Are there areas that are better than others? And I will definitely tell you right now, that is a humongous yes. Starting off with DC Universe Movietown Metropolis, because that's been getting a massive bulk of the rides and additions over the past couple of years. And watching that area transform from being basically one way in, one way out, to now being a giant loop has really been fantastic to watch. We don't know about Cyborg's current situation. We don't know if it's coming back in 2025 or it's gone. But hopefully, probably by the time this video comes out, we'll have more details about that. But it's clearly evident what side looks better. The Metropolis area looks so good. Park 6 looks fantastic. I bet the whole Flash area when that opens is going to look so good. Everything around Showcase Theater looked really good. Justice League's building looks fine. And like that whole area there up to Wonder Woman looks so good. But the Movietown side, where Wonder Woman is, the Batman Stunt Theater, Dark Knight, Batman, that could be sort of... That needs new pavement or concrete. That just needs to be livened up a little bit. I don't really think the asphalt's going to fit it anymore, especially if it becomes a massive DC Universe area. The Pine Barrens and Junior Thrill Seekers, I think, is okay. It's seen better days. A lot of the Junior Thrill Seeker rides are very old and definitely need to be replaced soon. I do like the Jersey Devil Plaza a lot. It's very open, and Jersey Devil itself really just makes Nitro feel like a lot tall of a ride. Skull Mountain is just like kind of just the odd one out here. It's just a sore thumb sitting there, unfortunately, in the lakefront, and that kind of gets into the lakefront, which is kind of in a sad state, right? I never was a fan of how all the rides are literally just lined up along the fence line in the back. You could clearly just peek over that. And honestly, Harley Quinn I could see getting relocated, maybe into the Metropolis area. Joker would probably get removed entirely. I would love to see like a Cedar Point Grand Pavilion style building right on Joker's plot of land to serve as like a good centerpiece. And if they really wanted to in the near future, if they wanted to expand out behind the lake and kind of like create a giant wraparound like Epcot, they probably could. And it's way too much of a stretch. That's like a 20-year plan. But that's something that they probably could do if they really wanted to. Maybe a hotel back there. The area to the left of Joker is like the Lady of the Lake Scare Zone. That's used like every other year for Fright Fest. It wasn't used this year for some ridiculous reason. I don't know why. But I think it's fine. But they could use a flat ride back there. If they're not going to use it for scare zones for Fright Fest, then just don't use it. Just put a flat ride there. In all honesty, fill the space. Adventure Alley I think is fine. Just refreshed pathing. I like that it's open in a way. Don't touch the giant wheel. Dream Street area is a very nice change. But again, pathing. The carousel view is iconic. Don't touch it. I think Houdini is going to be the odd one out in like a couple years. Probably a flat ride could go there in the future or something else. But past that is where the bricks are and the canopies where attributes, the arcade, Big Top, and Adventure World are. Looks so good. I love that area so much. And they're continuing to get more bricks as the season goes on. Which by the off season might even double in size. We'll see what happens with the bricks, because it'll be very cool to watch how that develops. But I just hope they replicate more of like the pathing to the older Dream Street as well. Already mentioned about the boardwalk. I'm not going to go too much into that. That area just needs a full restart. We have no idea what even happened to that. It's kind of sad what happened to that. Golden Kingdom Outpost is probably not going to be called that in 2025. It might just be an extension of Plaza del Carnaval for all I know. Um, I do think Plaza del Carnaval is probably one of the better looking areas. Like once it gets past Tango and so like into that open plaza with El Toro, it looks pretty solid. I kind of like that. It can use another flat ride. I will tell you that it can use another flat ride. Some of the buildings could use a slight repaint, but other than that, I liked it. Golden Kingdom was clearly the best looking area of the park, but it's getting something entirely new now. So kind of giving a full restart to whatever the 2026 replacement is. So we'll have to look forward to that. BB&P is fine. It's the newer kid area. Not really. Junior Thrill Seekers was like renamed like 40 times. But BB&P is like the newest one. I think it came out in 2007 if I'm not mistaken. I don't really know the years too well. But some of the rides could use a repaint. How's Foghorn Leghorn holding up over there, by the way? I have no idea, but that ride's... I don't know what's going on with that ride. But I think Frontier Adventures right now is probably my favorite area in the park, and will probably be everybody's favorite area in the park with whatever the arena plot coaster ends up being in the next 5-10 years, or whatever ends up replacing it. Cedar Fair just loves to fix up theming if they add a new big ride. So like if they do something with that arena plot of land, they're definitely going to do something there, which I'm really looking forward to when a replacement comes to that arena plot of land. I think it's evident though that the park, from a looking standpoint, needs as much help as possible. And these are just projects that will not take one season to fix up. It's going to take a very long time, right? It'll get fixed up as a new ride enters the picture. We just got to be on the lookout for future announcements from the park. Start expecting area re-themes with bigger attractions. And that all starts with the multi-record breaking roller coaster in 2026. So we got to stay tuned for that one. In the final section of the video, I'm going to discuss social media. Now, why social media, despite all the crazy events this past season? I think the biggest thing is just overall promotion, and this kind of gets into the longer point in a minute. Now, I fully understand that closing one of the most iconic roller coasters of all time is going to trigger people pretty much for the rest of their lives. It's crazy how long people can hold a crutch for, I swear. But I have to give a lot of credit to the PR team that runs the Great Adventure social medias for just dealing with the King to Ka spam, especially since it's not their fault at all that all this happened. I'm sure that there are people on that team that wanted to announce Ka's closure, but they couldn't. Felt bad for them for the next... And I feel bad for the PR team, in all honesty, for like the next couple of years that they're going to have to deal with that. And they're still going to have to deal with people posting random pictures of King to Ka in their comment section and just saying, bring back Ka, this is not a worthy Ka replacement, whenever they announce the 2026 coaster and all that stuff. I mean, I feel like it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse when Ka implodes, I think. But at the end of the day, we just have to understand that change comes around and we have to change with it. It's just a matter of how we change with it. So we'll see exactly what happens with that in the future. But my main suggestion I have is really just in line with this long list of surprise closures over the 2024 season that I'm sure they do not want to repeat that again. I understand I understand that this merger just happened, but they need to announce these things in advance. If a ride were to close, it gives a great opportunity to make a lot of money from guests showing up to a park just to say goodbye to a beloved attraction. I'm telling you, people will just buy a day ticket, and day tickets is what gives you money. So, just saying. The best way to continue is to promote when these things happen. Be sure to share upcoming ride closures, tease us with the big coaster announcements when they come around. Just communicate more. Let us know what's going on, right? When Flash fell significantly behind construction time, it took like months more than it should have just for us to get an answer back that Flash was going to get delayed, right? That took way too long. I really enjoyed the ideas of just getting guests involved with mini questions and interviews on the social media platforms. I love seeing like stuff with even like the staff mini interviews on National Ride Operator Day. I think Mr. Toro was on one of the social media mini interviews for something as well. Like seeing like those involvements are so cool to see. Like PR was really starting to branch out more in the park, which is really cool. I hope they continue that. Small things like that really just go a long way. They help make a place feel like a family, a welcoming environment, and they really do go a long way. Social media can promote merchandise, whenever popular merch sells out and restocks. Staying on top of emails, which is not an easy part of the job, might I add. Again, kudos to all those people for the continued hard work behind the curtain. A lot of stuff we can't see, which is fair enough because they have a lot to hold on to as well. So like it's difficult. But most people see things about Great Adventure mostly through social media. So promotional advertisements, and they just gotta hope for the best. Especially like this season's gonna feel like a down year, but in 2025, this is a rebuilding year to start from ground zero and just build up again. And we just gotta ride it out and see what happens, really. So I'm hoping for the best. I'm gonna stay optimistic. I'm gonna stay positive about it. We'll see what happens. But as you can see, it's not easy, but I hope that I was able to provide helpful suggestions based on my visits to the park from opening weekend to closing day to prove beneficial to the park's longevity. I love going to Great Adventure, and I will go as often as I possibly can. I feel like for me, it's extremely therapeutic. It was a huge improvement for me just to bond with friends, ride roller coasters, create countless memories. Like, I struggle so much just to get my voice out there and just to get to talk to people, and like being in Great Adventure has continued that trend for me. And to actually like get out there and like realize that there are people like me that likes to go do these things, and I get to go do that with these people. And I never thought that I'd be put in a wonderful place that I am now, and I'm so happy from where I am now, and Great Adventure really provided that for me. So huge thank you to everybody that works at Great Adventure. Huge thank you to everybody that I've met thus far and will continue to meet, hopefully eventually in the future in the 2025 season, because we ain't done just yet. I love Great Adventure. I know there are many other people who love this park too, just as much as I do, and I feel like that their words can help improve this beautiful place, as do mine. So please comment, let me know how you would improve this park. I really hope you all enjoyed my video on how Great Adventure can improve their park going into the 2025 season and beyond. Please let me know what you think. A ton of suggestions. What would you do to improve the park going forward into 2025 season and beyond? Leave the rides out of this. What would you do internally to fix this park? 2025 really is going to be a rebuilding year. So it's so important that us that goes to Great Adventure so often that we continue to go to this park and just watch it be rebuilt once again. Because when it gets to 2026, oh boy, guys, that's when things are gonna get real. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Always thank your ride operators and have an amazing rest of your day. I will see you all in the parks really soon. Goodbye.
Here we go.